Swami Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivajakachaja Astottara Satasishimara's Divine Grace Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnavind ki jai.
Jai.
Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai.
Jai.
प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास हरि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय।
Jai.
श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय।
Jai.
वृंदावन धाम की जय।
Jai.
मथुरा धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की
Jai.
जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय।
Jai.
गंगा माई की जय।
Jai.
जमुना माई की जय।
Jai.
तुलसी देवी की जय।
Jai.
भक्ति देवी की जय।
Jai.
हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय।
Jai.
सामवेद भक्त बिंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे
Hari
हरि
Hari
बोल।
Bol.
All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare
Hare Krishna.
Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Deda Swami Namini Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Siddharthani Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Deda Namini Narayana Namaste Chanarun Chevam Narotamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tatujayam Gujirayat Nashta Praiswa Badrisu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavato Tamastuke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Jai. Hare Krishna. Good morning, dear devotees. Please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class is from Canto 3, which is entitled The Status Quo. And text, chapter 4.
31.
And Vidura, this is my Maitreya. And the text this morning is text 31. No davo dvapi manyuno yad gune nadita prabhu ato madvayunam lokam grahayan ihatishtatu. No davo dvapi manyuno yad gune nadita prabhu ato madvayunam lokam Grahayang ihatishtatu no dhavo napi nyuno yadgune nadita prabhu ato madvayinam lokam grahayang ihatishtatu. Hare Krishna. Please chant.
Nadhavonnapi manyunno yadgunairnardite prabhu atomad vayunam lokam grahayan iha tishtatu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Nadavu hanva api manyuno yad gunair narditaha prabhu ato madvayunam lokam grahayan iha tishtatu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
नोद्धवोऽन्वपि मन्युनो यद्गुणैर्नार्दितः प्रभु अतो मद्वायुनं लोकं ग्राहयान् इह तिष्ठतु.
Hare Krishna.
नोद्धवोऽन्वपि मन्युनो यद्गुणैर्नार्दितः प्रभु अतो मद्वयुनं लोकं ग्राहयन् इह तिष्ठतु.
Anyone else?
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Na
Krishna.
Nadavon vi apimanuno yaguner naditaha prabhu ato madvayunam lokam gayahan ihatishtatu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Okay. So we'll do, if you can scroll out for word. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Na, not. Udava, Udava. Anu, slightly. Happy, also. Mat, to myself. Muna, inferior. Yat, because. Gune, by the modes of material nature. Na, nor. Back on camera. Adita, affected. Prabhu, master. Ata, therefore. Matvayinam, knowledge of me, the personality of Godhead. Lokam, the world. Grahayan, just to disseminate. Iha, in this world. Tishtatu, may remain. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Uddhava is not inferior to me in any way because he is never affected by the modes of material nature. Therefore, he may remain in this world in order to disseminate specific knowledge of the personality of Godhead. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The specific qualification for becoming the representative of the Lord is to be unaffected by the material modes of nature. The highest qualification of a person in the material world is to be a Brahmana. But since a Brahmana is in the mode of goodness, to be a Brahmana is not sufficient for becoming a representative of the Lord. One has to transcend the modes of goodness also and be situated in unalloyed goodness, unaffected by any of the qualities of material nature. This stage of transcendental qualification is called Shuddha Sattva or Vasudeva. And in this stage, the science of God can be realized. As the Lord is not affected by the modes of material nature, so a pure devotee of the Lord is also not affected by the modes of nature. That is the primary qualification for being one with the Lord. A person who is able to attain this transcendental qualification is called Jivan Mukta, or liberated, even though he is apparently in material conditions. This liberation is achieved by one who constantly This liberation is achieved by one who constantly engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.187, it is stated, Ihayasya haridashe karmana manasa gira nikila swapyadvis avastatu divan mukta sauchate. Translation, anyone who by his actions, mind, and words lives only for the transcendental loving service of the Lord is certainly a liberated soul, even though he may appear to be in a condition of material existence. Uddhava was in such a transcendental position, and thus he was selected to be the factual representative of the Lord in his bodily absence from a vision of the world. Such a devotee of the Lord is never affected by material strength, intelligence, or even renunciation. Such a devotee of the Lord is never affected by material strength, intelligence, or even renunciation. Such a devotee of our Lord can withstand all onslaughts of material nature, and therefore he is known as Goswami. Only such Goswamis can penetrate the mysteries of the Lord's transcendental loving relationships. Om Gyan Timirandasya Gyana Gyana Sharakaya Chakshu Ummalitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamala Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupa Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Saavadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Pitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostite Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Panamani Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhescha Kripa Sundibhya Eva Chapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravan Pachayane Nirvishesha Sunyavari Paschatyadi Shacharini Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gurachiche Namaha Anandali Lamaya Vigrahaya Himadhyadi Vachapishindaraya Tasmi Mahaprem Varaspadaya Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Hare Krishna. Translation again. Uddhava is not inferior to me in any way because he is never affected by the modes of material nature. Therefore, he may remain in this world in order to disseminate specific knowledge of the personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna. So, Uddhava is not inferior to me. So who is talking here? Well, when you read what is there, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even in a pronoun form, is always referred to with a capital letter. So it's an easy giveaway. Easy, very easy giveaway. Uddhava is not inferior to me. So me means the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he's not inferior to me. Why did Krishna say that? Well, Srila Prabhupada describes that in the purport in detail. But Krishna says it in one sentence. He is never affected by the modes of material nature. So I'll quote first from Lord Jesus Christ, believe it or not. The first statement he told people is, be renounced, be in this world, but not of this world. The world, the material world, is ruled based on the modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. Arjuna was told by Krishna, yes, the material energy is there, but you have to transcend it. And Jesus put it simply, be in this world here, but be not of this world. The world is controlled by the three modes of material nature. Living entity thinks that he's doing things on his own, but actually it is the three modes of nature that control the world. Therefore, every action is in one of those or a combination of those three modes. Now, to live in this world outside of the three modes is virtually impossible, but at the very least, devotees are charged to be in the best of the three modes, that is, the mode of goodness. And then, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have been given the way to transcend the mode of goodness. into Sudasattva, unalloyed goodness. Unalloyed goodness. So the goodness of material energy is tinged with other motives. Like Maghu Maharaj, Bhattacharya Maharaj gave an example of a person more the goodness, material goodness. They may donate something. May donate something. If the host can unmute Mother Vinjavali, that would be good. I think he's still mute. Mute Mother. Okay. Mute him. So, material goodness sometimes is tinged with some other motives, meaning, as my Guru Maharaj, Bhattacharya Maharaj put it, with an example. Say somebody donates money for a building in a hospital, for example. One wing of the hospital has this building there, or it could be a university and they need building for a particular purpose, and somebody donates the money for it. So the building is put there, and the building is named after that person. And the person is happy to see his name in big block letters on the front of the building. Yes, more the goodness, the idea was to give to that particular either hospital or the school. So that's a good deed. Now, the other part of it is the person wanted distinction. The person did not want profit, but definitely distinction and adoration he wanted. The name out there puts his name out as the person who did this. So the whole world knows about it. They want distinction and they want adoration. That's what contaminates the unalloyed goodness. As soon as we think that way, our goodness is contaminated, becomes alloyed or contaminated. So that's what we have to make sure that we keep that from happening. So we donate in different situations. First of all, it's best to donate for a Krishna conscious cause, though, beginning with our own temples. That is actually one of the best things, because the temple always has, two things. The business there is 100% Krishna consciousness. And secondly, they have to, it's in the material world still. It's an embassy in the material world, but it's in the material world. Therefore, as life is in the material world now, we have to pay to live. So everything about the building has to be paid for. So when we donate like that to help, cash or kind, then we are also contributing to unalloyed goodness. That is also part of it. In so many other ways too that we can do, doing other services, especially even the ones that were not assigned to us, but you see that it's there and we just basically just take charge and do it. Not expecting any praise or anything. That is also unalloyed goodness. So that was the qualification that Krishna brought up describing Uddhava. Uddhava is in unalloyed goodness. He is detached from the modes of material nature. Therefore, he's qualified to talk about me. That was Krishna's point. So, excuse me. We have to also strive to get to that point. To strive to get to that point is not easy doing by ourselves, because if we really want to be honest, our minds many, many times get strayed into something else that is material. On a daily basis, the mind is doing that. And so in order to control the mind, first, think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead all of the time. That is advice from Rupa Goswami. And Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita also, he says that in chapter 18, text 65. Man mana. Think about me and become my devotee. Man mana my bhaktu. So thinking of the Lord, the easier way is to hear about the Lord. and chant the Hare Krishna mantra or hear the mantra being chanted, so that even if we're doing other things, the sound of the holy name is always, bouncing subconscious. We can hear it all of the time. The mantra itself is extremely powerful to the extent that we can chant and chant and chant and chant and never get tired. If we stop on our own, then we're stopping on our own. But initially, it may seem like work, but later, when the mantra is rolling out of our tongues, there's no difficulty in going on and on and on and on and chanting the whole day. It's absolutely possible. That's not from us. That's from the potency of the holy name itself. The holy name is Krishna. So the special and specific qualification to represent the Lord is to be unaffected by material modes of nature. So only those things that are important for us, that are necessary for us to maintain body and soul together, have to be taken seriously when it comes to dealing with the material energy. So as soon as we have that and be determined to stay the course and live life that way, we will naturally begin to improve in our Krishna consciousness. And with the improvement, we'll become naturally happy. Happiness is there. Happiness is connection to Krishna consciousness. Everything else that's material, it doesn't matter how many things we acquire. It can give us satisfaction for only a short period of time, temporary. And then the anxiety it brings becomes well known. We can buy some fancy toy, and initially we'll be happy that we have that toy. But it doesn't take long for you to realize, I have to maintain this toy. So now I have extra things to do because of that. My time has now been imposed upon. I have to make time for this toy that I have. It could be anything, a fancy car, a house, whatever. Then you have to maintain it. It also makes money, more money, and more money. And then after a while, it's like, oh, it's just a part of my life. You get used to it. You just use it. Now it's not a big deal anymore. And then we're so connected to material energy, we want to get something else. Then we want to get something else. Then we're going to get something else. Then one day we wake up, we have all this stuff in the house. Then we begin to think, I don't think I need this anymore. I think I'm going to let this go. But that's the thing that a few years back, it was so attracted to it. And I was like, I don't need it anymore. So that's material life. When would we ever say we don't need Krishna anymore? That never happens. That never happens. Anything about Krishna consciousness, we never say we don't need it anymore. We don't need the mantra anymore. It's crazy to even think like that. Nobody thinks like that. But you see, year after year after year after year after year, we keep chanting. And that never gets old. It's ever fresh, as Krishna himself is ever fresh, youthful. So what really makes us happy, the conclusion is, be Krishna conscious, then you'll be happy. No Krishna consciousness, no real happiness. So the one that was detached from material energy, that was Uddhava. So Krishna says he should stay. Well, why did he say that? Why did Krishna say that Uddhava should stay? Because Krishna was wrapping up his pastimes in the material world. And he wanted the Vishnu dynasty, the Buddha dynasty, the Yadavas to go. So, and they were the strongest. So he arranged, and through the cursing of the Brahmanas, and actually Gandhari also cursed. The same thing. Gandhari cursed out of being upset about the fact that the king Duryodhan was dead, and then the 99 brothers were also dead. So there was nobody that would come from her family line to rule over Hastinapur, and they've lost the war. And as for the sages, it was Krishna's, Krishna's the cause of all causes. So he wanted the dynasty, the Yadavas, to go back to the spiritual world, or maybe the next life to go back to spiritual, depending on those who came as demigods in there. But they had the opportunity to go back to the spiritual world. All of that has been arranged. Krishna does a lot of things at once. So that was through Samba and his friends and the sages. The pastime starts with them making Samba look like a woman by putting a pregnant woman and then going to the sage, dressed in like a woman, with big tummy, like he's pregnant. And then he went to the sage. He says, "Oh, past, present, and future, what is going to be the gender of this child that's going to be born?" The sages knew, because they can read minds. They had mystic CDs. So they knew that the boys were playing the game with them, and therefore they got upset with them and says, you're going to give birth to a lump of iron, which will be the destruction of your dynasty. So then the cursing put that. Krishna said you can't change the curse so easily. But underneath that, Krishna actually wanted the pastimes wrapped up, so he would go back to the spiritual world. And so the Yadus could not be defeated by anyone. And if he left them and went back, then the Yadus would actually just basically control everybody. And that's not how he wanted it. He wanted them to go, he was thinking more spiritual, wanted them to go back to the spiritual world and be with him there. So he arranged for their destruction through the curses from Gandhari and also from the Brahmanas. But in leaving, Krishna did not want us to just be without him. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the sound incarnation of the Lord. That's here with us. And Uddhava immediately was also being asked to remain. And as this text talks about, he is in fact very, very, very renounced. So he won't be affected by the material energy. Very important that we try very hard through association to remind each other what the goal of life is. To become pure, we have to strive for purity. Many times we read and we see, oh, there's some mention of a pure devotee here, pure devotee, and we think, well, not me. It would be nice to be pure, but I'll never be pure. Well, if that's the way athletes, let's take this example. That's the way athletes think. Well, you think they'll even bother to train at all to do anything? They have their mind on a gold medal. They may get it, they may not get it. But the fact that doesn't bother them at all. They'll train and they'll compete to try to get it. So that should be the attitude. Others are pure. I can't be pure. Purity is not for certain people. I mean, personally, I've asked this question once of one of the sannyasis. Is it all right to strive for purity? He said, absolutely, yes. You have to go after it. Go after it. Because you may get to it or you may get very close to it. But if you don't try, then you will never get close to it. That's the point. And in trying, there's so many benefits. You become a better person because now you know everything that you do and you seriously use your intelligence. Is this good for me? If it's not good for me, it's gone. If it is good for me, that's what I'm going to be staying on. And then we find out that our biggest enemy actually is our own minds. Because the mind is used to doing things the way he likes. And now we have to discipline the mind. And that's the body life, disciplining the mind. So in this situation, Krishna already knew that Uddhava would do a great job. So he decided to stay, even though Uddhava himself was so attached to Krishna, he wanted to go back with Krishna. Krishna says, no, just be here, be detached, and go around praising. So basically, he was going to be a sannyasi, going around praising the Supreme Person. That is the mood of a person who's in sannyas. Like that. I think somewhere in the Shastra, it does in fact mention that Uddhava became sannyasi. But the main thing is he was to be detached. He was actually detached because he was always thinking about Krishna. That's easy detachment. You think about Krishna, you automatically detached. And so from that, how do we become detached? Part of the answer is given by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 34. Tat piri panipatena paripashyena sevaya. Upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadashina. Jnaninas tattvadashina, they know the truth. Approach a bona fide spiritual master for guidance. Ask him the questions and also serve him. Serve him because he's a representative of Krishna. And our main aim in life is to serve Krishna, here and back in the spiritual world. And since the Guru, the spiritual master, is a representative of Krishna, so we serve Krishna. I mean, we serve Krishna that way, by serving Guru. Then Krishna has given us a mercy of coming in a form where we can see, the deity form. So Grihastas especially are charged to serve the deity. So when the spiritual master is pleased with the service that we give to him, then he will bless us to improve our Krishna consciousness. He will preach. I remember one time His Holiness Dhanavir Goswami came to visit Girinagri. When he visited Girinagri, we were living there at the time. We had a house just outside the property of Girinagri. And he decided to stay with us. In fact, we did 2 occasions he stayed with my family. And in the morning, I was serving him breakfast. Actually, he takes his main meal of the day in the morning because he gets up, his morning is early, like 1 o'clock in the morning, he's already up. So by 10, he's already left a good 9 hours already. So then he's ready for actually a meal. So I was serving him. My wife would cook and I'll serve. And I remember well, as I was serving, he would talk about Krishna to me. By the time he finishes his breakfast, I have been preached to by him. So many things he was talking about, and every single sentence was useful in my life. It was so great to be around him. They say I'm just standing and waiting on him, whatever he needs extra for. And I go in the kitchen. The dining room, the kitchen was just separated by just a door. So I go and get some more things, and he keeps preaching and eating. So that was very nice. He stayed for about 3 days, and then the next time he came with a couple of brahmacharis. They also stayed for about the same number of days. We got to serve him. So approaching the spiritual master, you get so much from him. And if they don't say anything, you ask them questions. Krishna says, inquire submissively. So you ask them questions. My favorite question is, Maharaj, can you give me some tips for improvement in my devotional life? It's a very, very, very wide open question. And they'll take any part of it. But Krishna helps them because they are connected with Krishna, they're a representative of Krishna, therefore he helps them to tell me just what I need. I remember we were told, disciples of Bhakti Maharaj, before he left his body, he said, many of you have been listening to me, but you need to get Shiksha Gurus. Get Shiksha Gurus. Here, my other God brothers and God sisters, get Shiksha Gurus. So I went to Chandamari Swami and asked him. I remember one-on-one, I don't mind talking about it. That's what Bhakti Maharaj says to do. So Maharaj, can you please become a Shiksha Guru? He looked at me and said, yes. And the first instruction that came, it blew my mind. First instruction, he said, you have to take a Shiksha Guru who has the mood of your spiritual master. How did he say that? Here I've asked him and he has said yes, and he tells me after that, you got to have a spiritual master with the same mood as your own initiating spiritual master. The fact of the matter was, I was thinking of another guru. I was. And clearly, he does not have, although I very much admire him, he's such a great scholar, but he doesn't have the mood of Bhakti Maharaj. He doesn't. I know that. But I was still attracted to him. So finally, when I went to Chandramayya Swami, he says, have the mood of your spiritual master. The question is, how did he know? Now, see, this is the point. How did he? I didn't say anything that, oh, I wanted to take Shiksha from this other, but I'm thinking that Maharaj, you'd be better for me, therefore, please. No, I didn't say any of that. I just said, could you please be my Shiksha Guru? And that's the first instruction he gave me. So we are told many times, Guru is not an ordinary person. He's not. And those examples tell us the Guru is not an ordinary person. He's connected to Krishna, so he knew. That was the first instruction I got from him. Mm-hmm. So we approach the spiritual master, we inquire submissively. The spiritual master would tell us things that we need. Mm-hmm. I remember the first time that I asked or I talked about my life, from Kami life to devotee life. I had a one-on-one meeting again with Bhakti Swami, and I told him where I had been. I wanted some answers to questions about, so many questions I had. Most of them were spiritual, some of them material about the world, and the answers simply weren't there from all these religions. Therefore, I left them. I went to different religions, and finally wound up with Bhakti Swami's group. Small group he had started in Washington, D.C. and building on it. And so he allowed us to see him one-on-one. He have an appointment. And as I described where I was, and at the time, especially when I was with the Muslims, Islam, and I was quite uncomfortable with some of the things that happened there while I was there. And that's why I had left. And I was disappointed about what had happened but he looked and heard me, and then he said, so you felt cheated? I said, yes. He says, but God didn't cheat you. God didn't cheat you. And I thought, yeah, God did not cheat me. Hmm? So Krishna is always there for us. The spiritual master will guide us. So take that seriously. We have to have a guru that we go to. Even if we're not initiated, that's all right. We're still with Krishna. The biggest decision we made is to be Krishna conscious and stay Krishna conscious. As for those that will help us, there are plenty of devotees that can be Shiksha Gurus for us. Hmm? So Uddhava was going to be the Shiksha. And he already was, from, as it says here, detached from the world. Now, a whole set of instructions and even some of the events that happen are in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 11th canto. Starting from the 6th chapter, texts 40 and 41 are together. It goes all the way to the end of chapter 29. So Canto 11, chapter 6, text 40, to the end of chapter 29, Srimad Bhagavatam. That's called Uddhava Gita. So Uddhava Gita is that side, the entire side there. And there's so much that we can learn from Uddhava Gita. So it started with, and one part of it that is quite interesting is advice given by Krishna, because at first when Krishna was leaving, Uddhava wanted to go with him, but he said to stay.
What are the slokas, Prabhupada? Sorry.
Okay. Canto 11. So 11, 11, 6, 40. 11.6.40.
Only 40.
But when you get there, you see the 40 and 41 are together, but it starts with 40. Okay. And the end is the very end of chapter 29. Same canto. So 6.
11:29 also.
No, yeah, 11:29, the very end. I forget the text that ends it, but it doesn't matter. You just go to the very end.
Okay.
That's the whole thing.
Thank you, brother. I'm sorry.
Hare Krishna. No problem, no problem. So, when Krishna was instructing Uddhava to stay and be renounced and travel the earth, he gave an analogy of an Avadut Brahman. The Avadut Brahman, he talked about the story about how Maharaj Yadu, the son of Yayati, Maharaj Yayati, went into this Avadut Brahman who was traveling about, and he was in great transcendental ecstasy. But he was also acting unpredictably, like somebody who's been haunted by a ghost. So his actions were materially, it looked weird, but you also see that he was in great ecstasy. So he almost looked like a madman. The king inquired from this man about why he was wandering and he's so ecstatic at the same time. And Abadut said, I have received instructions from 24 different gurus. And like a few of them are like the earth, the wind, the sky, water, fire, and so on. And because of the knowledge that I have gained from these, I'm able to travel about the earth in a liberated state. See, a person that is detached from material life is actually liberated. So that's how he described it. So, in response to the king, Maharaj Yadu. And he said, all right, he's mentioned a few. So on the earth, he learned how to be sober. And two manifestations on earth, mountains and the trees. Now remember, Trinadapi Niche Nataro Vivasahishna. They have to be tolerant like a tree. One of the things. So he had learned how to serve others and how to dedicate his life for the benefit of others. So here's one of the open secrets in Krishna consciousness and in general life. If you help someone, your problems will also be solved. The more help you give, the more you get help. It's like that with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in terms of how he actually helps his devotees. The more open we are to helping, the more help we get. So he had learned that from the tree lives for the benefit of others. The tree doesn't want anything for itself, but people come to the tree and get shade from it. They take part of the tree. They take fruits from the tree. And so the tree is just there, and people just use the tree. People use it. Birds use it. They make a nest in the tree. The other animals sit in the tree for shade, for resting. Peacocks, as we get in August, like that, we had quite a few peacocks. They just get on the tree, and that's where they sleep at night. So like that. And some of them even have their residence on the tree. Birds have nests on the tree, like that. He learned from the wind. From the wind, he learned, he connected it to the vital air within the body. And he said he had learned to be satisfied by merely keeping oneself alive. Do just what is necessary for the material. And from the external wind, he had also learned how to remain uncontaminated by the body and the objects of the senses. So he had learned that the wind can pick different odors, but it does not change the wind itself. And he also, even though moving from one place to another, the constitution of the wind, the air itself, remains the same. So he connected the sky, what he learned from the sky, to the soul. It is, in fact, what pervades this material body. The soul pervades the material body through consciousness. Consciousness is what is all over the material body. Mm? We feel how we feel from the consciousness in any part of this physical body. It is from the soul. So, in this sense, for every physical body, the soul pervades it. But the soul is indivisible and also imperceptible. It's indivisible, we told that in Bhagavad Gita chapter 2. Mm? But imperceptible because that's the way life is for us. We have perception of the soul? No, not really. If we weren't told the soul was Satchidananda, we would never know that. That's from Shastra that we have some idea. But how that even comes into play, we don't know. We just have it as just knowledge. So from that sense, the soul is imperceptible. The Avadut Brahman explained he learned from the water how to be naturally clear and purifying. We have to be clear in consciousness, and also we have to be clean. And when we meet others, what we tell them should be purifying to them. Purity is the force. And that's why we're talking earlier. We have to strive to be pure. Krishna knew Uddhava was pure. That's why he said, you stay. And when he told Uddhava this story about the Avadut Brahman is actually an incarnation of the Lord, Dattatreya. It's in the Shastra. Dattatreya is actually the Avadut Brahman. When I read it, I was quite interested. It's kind of interesting to me. It blew my mind. Dattatreya, okay, well, Durvasa Muni and Soma and Dattatreya were born of Atri Muni. So Atri Muni and Anasuya, they gave birth to those three. There was a whole pastime on it. That's also in the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Durvasa Muni, Dattatreya,
and Soma.
Soma.
Yeah.
And they were born to Durvasa.
Atri Muni, Atri, Atri, and Anasuya.
Atri and Anasuya.
Yeah, that's who gave birth to them. And Dattatreya later on became the Avadut Brahman. So Krishna was talking about the story about Avadut Brahman. And he said he learned from the fire. Avadut Brahman is telling Maharaj Yadu, of course. From the fire, he learned how to devour things without become dirty, and how to destroy all the inauspicious desires. So the fire burns away things that are inauspicious. How do we do that? By chanting the holy name of the Lord and staying away from being offensive. The material desires should go. Only those that are necessary to keep the body and soul together would be there. But sometimes, based on our own past good deeds in previous life, we may actually, Krishna may arrange to give us so much materially. All we have to do is use those things that is given us in Krishna service. Be able to do more, so you do more. Some people can donate $100, but if you are wealthy enough to be able to donate $2,000 monthly, then do that. There is one devotee in Chapati who has a business that's done very well. And he's detached. He's a devotee. But this is Rana Maharaj just said this. He said, Maharaj, the business is doing well, but if one day, not that he's thinking pessimistically, but he says one day, anything can happen. If I lose the business, can I get a room here to be just, some place to sleep? Maharaj said, absolutely, you can. He was donating 12,000 American dollars a month to the temple. Obviously, it's a multi-million-dollar company, but that's how much he was donating. So the brahmacharis didn't have to worry. Nobody had, the bills were getting paid all right. And they still are. So yeah, when we get more, we give more. They have to try to give as much. As a matter of fact, Maharajas, and this is Rana Maharajas suggesting that we should do is contribute what we can comfortably contribute and then add a little more to it. And this is how we learn to, we go out of our way to do a little more than we would have liked to do. That will increase our love for Krishna, because it's only a person that we care about that will go out of our way to do things that we normally wouldn't do even for ourselves, but we will do for them because we care about them. Therefore, since we are learning how to love God, if we do things a little bit more than what we would have done ordinarily, that will increase our love for God. We have it the opposite way. You see, we've fallen out of love with the Lord. That's why we're in the material world. So we're learning to love the Lord again. So we have to do those things that those who are in love with the Lord do. And they go out of their way to do things for the Lord. Therefore, if we also begin to do things going out of our way to do them, then we're developing the same mood that those who are in love with Krishna do. And that way we also become, fall in love with Krishna. And we won't do things just by instruction anymore. We'll begin to do things because we like to do it. Only because we know Krishna will be happy with us, therefore we do it. And that's the only reason. The Guru will be happy with us, Krishna will be happy with us, therefore I'll do it. Even to our chanting, like that. So, Avadut Brahman said, he learned from the moon also. And from the moon, maybe that'll be last, I'm looking at the time now. From the moon, he had learned how the various phases of the material body, how the material body, what they undergo or it undergoes. Birth, the growth, the dwindling, the death, all of that. They don't affect the material, the embodied soul. And from the sun, since we talked about the moon, let's do the sun also, and then we'll stop. From the sun, he had learned how to avoid getting entangled with material objects when we come in contact with them. We should avoid getting entangled even when we come in contact with material sense objects. In other words, our intelligence should be so sharpened that, all right, we are doing this with this particular sense object, but it is necessary, I'm doing it, and that's it. If I'm done, I'm not dealing with it anymore. Or better yet, use the material sense objects to serve Krishna. The sense objects are the limbs, the hands, legs, and those other things that help us in serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees. So it's obviously 24 gurus, and this is some of them. I'm just kind of inclined to want to go on, but we'll see. Maharaj, Sri Krishna really appointed and honored, in that case, because he likes to do that to his devotees. He honored Uddhava by saying, you be the one. And the renunciation that Uddhava was being asked by Krishna to do was exemplified by the examples that Krishna gave of the Avadut Brahman. So we also have to try as much as possible to be detached from the things that we do materially. It's only the necessary things that we should take seriously and use, because we have to keep body and soul together. But other than that, our main business is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I had to make myself stop because I didn't follow it. The 24 gurus are usually when I talk about, I want to talk about all of them. But anyway, we talked about 9 or so of them. That's good enough for now. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah, I wish
Hare
you
Krishna.
didn't have to stop, but who was learning from all of these sources? You said sun, moon, fire,
Yeah.
water. Who was learning from them?
Krishna was instructing Uddhava.
Yeah.
So it was Uddhava that was listening. See, Krishna had asked Uddhava to stay when Uddhava really wanted to go back with Krishna, because Krishna was wrapping up his pastimes. And he said, you stay in the world, be detached. Be detached. Go along talking about Krishna consciousness, but be detached. And here are examples of how you can become detached. So rather than say, do this, do this, do this, he elected to tell the story about the Avadut Brahman and how the Avadut Brahman saw life around him. Because he talked about the moon, the sky, the water, the trees, all of those, which are part of nature, And he was learning from the way of these things, the way these things are, how the moon does things, and how the sun is very much purifying, but the sun doesn't get contaminated itself like that. The water is pure, even though it carries something. Oh, so many things that he was describing to Uddhava, so that in Uddhava's staying on the earth, that he would actually stay renounced. This is all about being renounced, not being attached. Things are like this, things are like this, things are like this, but all of these things that he's using as part of the creation, they are all in one sense renounced. They do things, but they don't get affected. Water stays pure; it can carry dirt things, but you can easily filter them out, and it will be pure again. The sun especially purifies, but it doesn't get affected. The composition doesn't change. So in that way, you do what you have to do when you come in contact with material energy, but don't let it change you. That's what he's telling Uddhava. Hare Krishna.
Rajesh Govind Prabhu has his hand up.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandat Pranam.
Jai Go Srila Prabhupada.
And all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Just accept my obeisances.
Accept mine, Hare Krishna.
Thank you for your very nice class.
Krishna's mercy.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I heard that something in the middle might be you said, yeah, you was before it something, the different religion, something. Is it correct, Prabhu?
I was in a different religion. Yeah, I started out Christian, and I had questions that I couldn't get answers for from Christianity. So I stepped out of Christianity and went to different religions. Actually, I didn't say I was in Buddhism, I was in Baha'i, I was in Islam. Same questions, but the answers never came until I came to Krishna consciousness. And then all my questions were answered, and even more things that I didn't know were added to it.
No, I'm sorry, bro. I'm just asking, like, what was your like the base religion? Is it like a Muslim or something? Or
no, I started out Catholic. All of those places where I was looking for that, I went to and the answer, but I never really stayed there. Just a matter of months, I was going to another different religion, another month. But I didn't have answers to my questions. I didn't stay. But the last place I was at before becoming Krishna conscious or becoming a devotee was Islam. Yeah.
Oh, this is okay. Then you tried already for some. Is it like is it born in religion or just like this? Just you tried for this Islam something for looking? Is it like?
I just wanted my questions answered. Whatever religion that was able to do that, that's fine. And if it wasn't, then I was on to the next one. On to the next one.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I was looking. Yeah. So that's why I did go. I went from Catholic to other Christian, non-Catholic, like the Protestant and all of that. I went to all of that,
Okay,
and then outside, the Catholic, and then outside Christianity, totally to Baha'i, Buddhism, and and then Islam, and then the Krishna consciousness.
Okay, thank you. And what is your previous name, Prabhuji?
Before I became a devotee, Patrick.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, Prabhu. His
Hare
grace,
Krishna.
Pariksit Prabhu ki jai. Thank you.
Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy.
Thank you.
Oh, glories to Guru and Guranga. They really saved me. Otherwise, my life would have been a mess. I think without knowing, now that we know what we know, it's better to be Hare Krishna.
You
Better.
have a lot of knowledge.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Krishna's mercy.
Two questions. One was, what were your questions when you were, what questions did you need answered?
Oh, I can tell you some of them. So this world is around us. You say, this is for Christianity. You say there's heaven and earth. God created heaven and earth. And people, when they do bad things, they go to hell. So why come you don't talk about God creating, it said heaven and earth, but did he create hell too? No. They don't want to they don't want to say that because that means like God did something bad, right? So that was one of the things. But one of my main things is I have learned in science, astronomy, there is Mercury, there's Venus, in the Earth we are living on, we know that. There's Mars, there's Jupiter, there's Saturn, and there's all of those are there. And you say Lord created heaven and earth. So what is Mercury? Is it heaven? What is is it heaven? Which one is heaven? Which one is it? They don't have answers to any of those. So I said, you see, now you're not helping me with the science that I know to be able to be connected with the religion. And why do people have talent? How come a young person who is like 5 years old is so studious and some things that we can't do, they can do easily? How come they're like that? Oh, it's a special gift from God. How come I didn't get that gift? I'm just, and then later on, we learned when it came to Christian, oh, the subtle body carries the soul to the next existence. The subtle body has a mind and intelligence, and this, I already know subconscious is there and it stores everything. So it's just transferred to the next life. That's how come if somebody that is that young can in fact connect with what they were doing in the last life and do it easily early in the next life. It made all the sense in the world to me. They can't explain that because they don't accept transmigration of the soul. And then I went back to the Bible and realized it was there, but they don't take it seriously. I just say one about it. It's Matthew chapter 16. So the disciples are asking, no, Jesus asked them, who do they say that I am? Who do they say? These people here talking, who do they say that, how do they identify me? Then the disciple says, they say you're Elijah, you're Elisha, and so on. Then it goes on to say, he asked Peter, who was the head of the disciples, so who do you think I am? And Peter said, you are the Son of the living God. You're Jesus, Son of the living God. And Jesus said he was correct. And just to cut short there. But my point is, were the people so stupid? Now, were people so unintelligent that they were answering the question to Jesus, who do they say, Christians saying, Christ is saying, he's asking, who do they say I am? And they're giving all these wrong answers. You're Elijah, you're this, all those, but every answer that they gave, although it was wrong, it had to do with some personality that had already come to live on this earth and had died and gone. Those were the ones they thought that Jesus was, which means they believed that people die and come back. That's why they were giving those answers. But in Christianity, that side is totally ignored. They start praising Peter. Peter gave the right answer. But why did these people give the wrong answers? Because they understand the transmigration of the soul. See, I never knew that. It's right in the Bible. So basically the answers are, I found out later on after I became a devotee, and then read the Bible again and looked at some parts of it, and I realized the answers are there. The typical Christian doesn't even understand. And unfortunately, they don't even know that the answers to talent and phobia and so on that people have has to do with the previous life. Anyway,
Thank
I
you,
I'm
Prabhu.
fortunate to leave.
I asked that question because that's not how I came into Krishna consciousness. It just seems like I slowly am getting deeper and deeper. For what reason, I cannot understand. And like Prabhupada had said once, does it matter how you are drowning? The important thing is that we get out. How did we end up here? We ended up here, and what bad things, what bad decisions did I make? Obviously, I made some, don't know what. It doesn't matter if I find out what I made, but I'm just slowly getting deeper into it, but not because I'm asking questions. So
Yeah.
I don't know, for some reason, that is something that sort of is always on my mind. All of you made a very conscious decision. You chose to come here. You asked questions. You needed answers. You
Yeah.
understood this is where the answers are. That's not my path, and I don't know why I dwell on it, even understanding that I should not be dwelling on it. My
It
second
doesn't matter.
question was,
It's okay. I understand your point. I
yeah,
understand your point, but we came to Krishna consciousness in different ways.
yeah,
That was the way I came.
yeah.
Questions that the other religions simply couldn't answer.
Mm,
So, that's and I was excited when I got the answers there. And then I was told, all right, so now you have to detach, you have to be vegetarian, you have to this, that, and then. And then, of course, my family members who didn't want to change started fighting me, but they lost. So,
mm.
to get a long story short, I decided to stay a devotee. So I'm the only devotee in my extended family. But still, anyway.
Yeah, the second question I had was, unless somebody else has questions, please raise your hand. I don't want to take over the question and answer session. The other thing I was thinking about was, you were saying Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj asked you to get Siksha Gurus.
Yeah.
And I think it is very important, those of us especially who are not in close proximity, distance-wise, with our gurus, that we have somebody who can help us. And can you talk a little bit more about, he said somebody who has the same mood as your guru. I am
Yeah,
not
well,
qualified.
that was a direct instruction for me. You can take
Okay.
Siksha from anybody that is a guru, that knows the instructions well. But for me, it would have been helpful to me because the mood of my guru was also quite important to me in understanding Krishna consciousness, the way he led me to Krishna consciousness, how he led me. So I was so used to that. So Shanavai Swami was saying that you need to get a guru that's like that, only because then it's an easier transition to go from the Diksha guru, especially who's getting ready to leave the body, to a Shiksha that would teach you in pretty much the same style. Pretty much the same style. But in general, you can hear I've heard from a lot of people. I heard from Gopinath Maharaj, Adna Maharaj, it's also has a mood of Bhakti Maharaj. This goes on. I listen for a while and I listen to this other guru and listen to this other guru. So the instruction is always wonderful. Of course, Sri Prabhupada constantly, you listen to him, constantly. I get in my car, I see Prabhupada immediately lectures. So it's helpful. That one was actually, the only point I brought it up, the only reason I brought it up was, how did he know that I was going to a Shiksha Guru that didn't have the mood of my spiritual master first? How do you know that? I was just to make the point that Krishna can help gurus by what they tell us directly, what is actually what we need to hear. And they are connected with Krishna, that we should never think the guru is an ordinary person. That's the only reason I said that. That he made a statement about the mood of my Shiksha guru like that. But because I was thinking Shiksha for someone else that didn't have the mood. And he, without telling him, he knew. Or he made that statement. So we should never regard gurus as, and that brings another point. Never, when we meet our gurus, definitely we should serve them. Krishna even says we should do that. But when we're talking to them, we should never talk to them like a friend talking to another friend. We have to be careful about that. And here's the reason. In the Shastra, Lord Brahma met Lord Krishna. Krishna was showing so much love to Lord Brahma. I forget the reference. I don't quote it, but I knew I read it. Krishna put his hand on Lord Brahma's shoulder, just like a pattern friendship. And Lord Brahma said, in so many words, paraphrase, that he was appreciating that the Lord was treating him like a friend. He says, I appreciate that, putting your hand on my shoulder. But I remember, and I don't want to forget, that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He made that point. That we should never forget that even if he talks in a friendly way with us and stuff, you're still looking at the representative of Krishna. He's in a different position all of the time. And especially knowing by Shishika Prabhu the way he is, he can get into regular conversation and it's very nice. His mood is so wonderful. But we should always remember, for Guru, he is in a special position. In a special position. And yeah, we can be reverential. It's actually safer to be reverential to Guru. Many people act like that. But definitely it can be friendly. When he is in friendly terms to you, definitely do that. But don't forget, just like Lord Brahma said, yeah, you're treating me like a friend, but you're the Supreme Personality of God. Don't forget, Guru's position is different from ours. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Any other questions?
Wonderful class, Prabhu.
Krishna,
lot of things you are explaining to my daughter. So they're very, very important with Guru, how we should be, and what we should ask questions, and how we should be. All those things are very, very important, Prabhu.
Yeah. We should be respectful at all times. We should be respectful at all times. And if Guru gets upset with us and uses, a little bit strong language, take it as his mercy. That's immediately you have to say, Guru is nice to us, but Guru is a coach. And sometimes coaches get heavy because they want the players to do better. Yeah. And especially if your own Diksha Guru does that. Remember, he's responsible for you. He has made a contract with the spiritual world that he will guide you to the spiritual world. That's the contract.
Diksha Guru is also Siksha Guru is also very, very important.
Yeah, they're all like that to help in the process of us going back.
Yeah.
So when they insist on things and they get a little heavy, then that's for our purification. They want us to really, really take whatever they're talking about in that serious tone more seriously, which means we are doing something that will sabotage our own spiritual progress. And they are concerned, and therefore they just sometimes even raise their voices.
That's true. That's true. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for that.
Hare Krishna. At some point, I thought my Guru didn't like me. That's why he so much. He didn't like me. Then he talked about it in the lectures, and we all started laughing because it had happened to us. And I'll tell you the reason, because this is important actually, because Govinda Maharaj actually described who Guru is. But at this point, I don't want to jump into that. It just goes sequentially. So some of us thought, that he was chastising so much. So maybe he doesn't like me. So it says, you might think some of my disciples says, I don't like them. And then your disciple, you go talk to another disciple, I think Guru Maharaj doesn't like me. And the disciple said, you know what? I think he doesn't like me either. We both started laughing. So here's Govinda Maharaj's definition of a guru. He likened the guru to a coconut. A coconut is hard on the outside. It's hard on the outside, but inside is soft. The meat is soft, and the water is also sweet. That's what guru is. So on the outside, he's hard like that because he's just being hard on us to keep us straight. But his real mood inside is very soft and very sweet. He's actually like that. And many of us, for the things that we need to work on, maybe we won't see the softness anytime soon. We just see the hard part. You see the hard part, but don't think that inside. So internally, he actually loves us very much. He loves us very much. But he knows that, if he just kind of shows us the other side of him, the sweetness and all of that, we won't take Krishna consciousness seriously. We not even take him seriously or what he tells us seriously. And therefore he does something like that. But not because so that's just the way they are. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Any final questions? All right. Thank you very much for this opportunity to teach. It's almost like I'm having a conversation with every time I come to Philadelphia. It's like that. Hare Krishna.
We enjoy the class, Prabhu.
Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy.
It's very good.
Okay. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha vasudhya evacha
Patitanam
patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Bhakti Devi, Hare Krishna. I saw you come on.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the wonderful
Krishna.
class.
Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. God Shri Prabhupada.